In a time when the world was young and demons ran unfettered across the face of the earth, the powers that be chose a young woman, one girl in all the world, to combat the forces of darkness. Upon her death, the power passed to another, and another, down over the millennia, with each girl inheriting the power of her predecessor, the power of the Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the Xbox is a terrific action game that seamlessly blends hand-to-hand fighting game style combat along with some light puzzle solving. The storyline in Buffy the Vampire Slayer has been taken from right around the 3rd season. You'll notice that Buffy's relationship with characters such as Spike isn't quite what it is in recent episodes.
So, which one of you is Curly?
What's the matter, Slayer? You look like you've seen a ghost. What? No witty banter? I'm crushed. I had built up so much nostalgia for our reunion. Ah, well.
The basic gist of the story is that Buffy has to thwart evil forces that are planning to reawaken one of her main adversaries from the past.
Oh, goodness, daylight.
The pace of the game is very fast. Basically, as soon as the game starts, you're in there, duking it out with vampires. And in the first level or so, it teaches you basic combat skills, how to punch, kick, link combinations together. As you progress through the game, you'll learn more and more moves. And then the special moves themselves are actually executed just like they would be in a fighting game. So for instance, for a triple kick, it's up, up, A. You can do the spinning, back fist by spinning 360 on the analog stick and then hitting the X button. So there's lots of moves that she has and she can execute as she goes through the game. When you face off against an enemy, you'll see in the right-hand corner of the screen a little life bar that appears. Basically, that's that particular enemy's life bar. You can target different enemies by pushing the right trigger, although sometimes just running around and trying to lay some pain on each one of the enemies in the area works pretty effectively, and especially since they don't all wait their turn, they'll try to attack you while you're facing off against another opponent. When you deplete an enemy's life bar enough, the other button on the face of the controller is Buffy's stake button. So if you have, you find these wooden stakes, or you can break chairs to get wooden stakes from them. Other objects throughout the game you can find stuff in. But the main thing that you'll use to finish off vampires is just a good old-fashioned wooden stake. Once you pick one of these up, you'll be able to fight hand-to-hand, punch, kick, and get their life bar depleted enough to where you can actually stick the stake in them to finish them. She has a variety of different ways she can do this, whether it's just standing on her feet and stabbing the opponent, knocking them down to the ground and then reaching over to drive the stake in, or even, she has the ability to throw the stake, and if their energy level is low enough, you'll actually spear them and they'll die.
And that's a wrap.
Some of the zombies in the game you have to take out by simply decapitating them. You can do that with a powerful kick to the head. You'll notice that if you pound away on them with just normal punching kicks and try not to specifically target their head, is that you'll knock limbs off their bodies. In which case, sometimes you end up with just this little skeleton torso on the ground trying to hit you with its head. Lots of cool stuff in the game like that. While the bulk of the action is taken up by the fighting game system in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, once you move from fight to fight, you'll find along the way that you have to solve light puzzles. There's real small puzzles in the game, whether it's knocking a bell from the top of a bell tower in a church to open up a big area down below so you can get through, like is done early on in the game, or collecting these small elements that you have to put in this specific part of the level to open up further doors, or getting keys to access doors that are locked, all kinds of stuff. Basically, it's all kept to a minimum, and the really neat thing about the game's design, unlike a lot of action games that have puzzle-solving elements, is that you're never really left to determine where you're supposed to go next. The game is very linear in that it tells you specifically, you have to go over here. It shows in-game cutscenes to kind of give you a hint, as well as it puts up these blue walled barriers to kind of indicate that you're not supposed to go that way yet until you finish off the enemies in the immediate area.
I'm bored. Let's kill something.
Aside from the combat and light puzzle solving, The game has lots of cinematics in it. The neat thing is they're kept really brief, so you never feel like you're watching one for far too long, or that you're just not playing the game enough. In fact, the seamless mix of in-game cutscenes along with the action and puzzle solving really gives Buffy its unique blend of a true experience instead of just these random different gameplay elements that all come together.
Please, try to pay attention.
Sorry, just feeling a little oogie. I haven't had much luck with the quality Z's lately. Bad dreams. And, lest you forget, I'm doing this as a favor to you. I'm over the pursuit of fame and glory through cheerleading.
It's a crushing blow to the world of synchronized shouting. Okay, girls, let's take that last one again, but this time
Cordy, get everyone else into the supply closet and keep them quiet until I come for you. I'll go track down the janitor and see if Creepy Pete can get the lights turned back on.
Fans of the show will especially appreciate how well and how detailed the levels are in the game. Early on in the game, the levels seem very, very large, very big, but as you progress, you'll find that the later levels in the game just get huge. But once again, the design's done very well, so you never are just wandering around figuring out where to go. You pretty much always know which direction to go, but it's kind of neat, especially if you've seen the show, to explore Buffy's high school, where there's tons of detail. You'll be in the gym, and that you'll see the bleachers and the basketball hoop, just everything you would expect. Going into the janitor's office and finding a bucket and a broom in it that you can actually use as a weapon. There's all kinds of good stuff in the game.
Could come in handy.
Visually, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a very impressive looking Xbox game. The levels are super big, they've got lots of detail, tons of objects and things that are happening around in the background, which give the levels a lot of life all by themselves.
Uh-oh. Gotta watch my step.
Two of the most impressive things as far as the visuals in Buffy are the characters themselves. The models used are done very well. Most of them look just like their real-life counterparts from the show, as well as the facial animation that you'll see. Buffy herself expresses all kinds of different emotions on her face, most of which are, fit perfect to her sarcastic humor. And overall, the characters in the game look very, very good.
right here with the chalk.
The animation is done extremely well. You'll see, when Buffy's pulling off her moves, it looks just like it does in the show. As well as the vampires attacking you. All the animation fits very well together. The collision detection is done very well, so you can hit each other and it doesn't look like you're missing or anything like that. It just works really good. In the audio department, Buffy the Vampire Slayer has a ton going on. The biggest of which is probably the fact that they've actually used the voices from the show. So when you're going throughout the game, you'll hear the characters speak and you know it's them because it sounds just like them because it is them. One exception, of course, is Buffy herself. The actress Sarah Michelle Gellar, who plays her on television, opted not to provide voice work for the game. But even still, the sound alike that they got for her sounds almost just like her, and you barely even notice it's not her. The other big part of the audio in Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the music. When you're just kind of hunting around looking for the next enemy to face or the next puzzle to solve, basically there's this low-key, eerie kind of Buffy-sounding music that plays, which is done very well. But the neat thing is when you come into an action sequence where you have to face against another opponent, you'll hear the music raise up and it fits the action very well. In the end, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a terrific action game that blends all different types of gameplay elements seamlessly together. The fighting game system is done very well. There's lots of levels to explore. The game's got a ton for you to get through, so its longevity is based upon basically how quickly you can dispatch enemies and get through the game. Even that said, it's anywhere from 12 to 30 hours, depending on how good you are at the game. The puzzle solving is kept to a minimum, and so you're not left hunting for items. It's just more about progressing through the storyline, which is a very good storyline, and any fan of Buffy will surely enjoy. Even fans that aren't of the show will enjoy the game's storyline and the action. So I'd have to definitely recommend Buffy for Xbox owners out there.